So on this worksheet, you're going to work a lot with the square roots and different things. These are called radicals. But we need to understand before you start a few basic ideas. What this means in words is what number multiplied by itself however big this number is on the outside, however many times is the number on the inside. So that's what a square root, cube root, fourth root, whatever means. So if I have the square root of 25, we're saying, even though it's understood, there's a little 2 here, what number multiplied by itself twice is 25? So 5 times 5, that's multiplied by itself twice. So 5 is the number multiplied by itself. It gives us 25. By the same idea, what number multiplied by itself 3 times is 125? That answer is 5 again, because 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So again, we're saying what number multiplied by itself this many times is this answer. Okay, so if I have the fourth root of 16, I'm looking for a number that's multiplied by itself 4 times. So yeah, I know 16 is 4 times 4, but there are not 4 4s here. It has to multiply by itself 4 times to give us 16. So if I break this down, that's a 2, a 2, a 2, and a 2. So there are 4 2's down at the bottom here. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a number multiplied by itself 4 times that gives us 16. So that's 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. So in other words, the number is 2. What number multiplied by itself 1, 2, 3, 4 times is 16? Well, that number is 2. So what you're really looking for, you're looking for groups of whatever, groups of size 4. This one you're looking for groups of size 3. This one you're looking for groups of size 2. So whatever that group size is, so if it's a 2, when you get 2 of the same thing, they come out. If it's a 3, when you get 3 of the same thing, they come out. If it's a 4, when you get 4 of the same thing, it comes out of the radical. Okay, so that's what a square root, cube root, whatever the radical is, that's what it means. You're looking for that many of the same kind. So on question number 4, you're asked to figure out what times itself twice is 96. Well, there's nothing exactly that multiplies by 96. So we start breaking it down. So we go to our calculator and we go 96 divided by 6 is 16. And I knew that 6 would go into it because it ends in an even number. So if it ends in an even number, it means it's divisible by 2. And 9 plus 16 is 15, which is divisible by 3. So if it's divisible by 2 and 3, it's divisible by 6. Anyways, that's just a trick on the side. You could have used whatever. You'll get the same answer. So 6 times 16, as we saw in the calculator, makes 96. So this is 2 and a 3. This is 4 and a 4. As soon as I find 2 of a kind, they can come out. So it comes out. I could break it down more, but I don't need to. So the 4's come out. The other stuff, they don't have friends, so they can't leave their home. So 2 and 3, they stay home. And they play a game together. Now, I don't know how you're going to remember it, but remember that it's the ones that have groups that get to go out of the square root. The other ones, they don't leave. They stay inside and you multiply them back together. So on number 8, 450, I know that's divisible by 10 because it ends in a 0. So 10 times 45 is 450. This is 2 times 5. This is 5 times 9. This is 3 and 3. So there are actually two groups. So there's a 5 and a group of 2 3s. So each of them leave. So the 3 comes out and the 5 comes out. The 2 does not because there's not 2 of a kind. Now x to the negative 8 is really x to the negative 1 times x to the negative 1 times x to the negative 1 times x to the negative 1, x negative 1, x negative 1, x negative 1, x negative 1. So in other words, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. Or the easy way is to take this power, 8 divided by 2 makes 4. In other words, there are 4 whole groups. So x to the negative 1 comes out 4 times. Normally I would just write x to the negative 4, but I wanted to make sure you saw that there were 4 groups of x to the negative 1. And y to the 5th, if I take 5 divided by 2, like if you have 5 shoes, how many pairs of shoes do you have? You have 2 pair with 1 left over, so the leftover one doesn't get to come out. Now to finish up our answer, a negative exponent moves it to the bottom, so x to the 4th is on the bottom. 3 times 5 is 15, y squared, square root of 2y. Okay, question, the next one is 12. So again, we're going to break this down, 3072. 3 plus 7 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So I know it's divisible by 3 because 12 is divisible by 3. And it ends in a 2, so it's also divisible by 6. So I'm going to go to my calculator, 3072 divided by 6. 512. So 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8, so that's not divisible by 3. So I'm just going to divide it by 2 again. And 256, maybe I'll try something bigger, is 4. Divide it by 4, no, not times. Divide by 4. Alright, so 3072 divided by 6 is 512. So let's go back and write this down. So divided by 6 is 512. We divided this by 2 again, and we got 256. We took 256 and divided it by 4, and we got 64. And then 64 we know is 8 times 8. So I'm looking for 5 of a kind. So 6 is 3 and 2. This 4 is 2 and 2. Then 8 is 2 times 4. So there's another 2 and 2. 8's 2 and 4. So there's another 2 and 2. So I'm now looking for groups of 5 of the same thing. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's one group. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's another group. So this group and this group. So those 2's get to come out, and they multiply each other out there. So 2 times 2 is 4. This 3 did not get to leave. There was not a group of 5 3's. So it stays underneath. Now, x to the 15th. If I have 15 of something, how many groups of 5 are there? There are 3 groups of 5. Or the shortcut way, 15 divided by 5 is 3. So that's x to the 3rd, and it gets to come out. And there are no leftovers. There's no remainders. Y to the negative 20 divided by 5. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Negative 20 is negative 4. So that means y comes out as a negative 4. But then if you remember, oh yeah, the negative moves it to the bottom. So let's just go ahead and put that on the bottom under here. There aren't any leftovers, and z22 divided by 5, well, 22 divided by 5 is 4 with the remainder of 2. So that means that we have z4 out here, and then we have a remainder of 2 z's left over, and that's our answer. So that was number 12. Number 16, we go from simplifying to subtracting. You can only subtract if they are the same root and the same numbers inside and the same variables outside, all that stuff. So we cannot combine these right now because they do not have the same root. I can't say like 4 apples minus 5 zebras. That doesn't make sense. They have to be the same thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to break 12 down. 12 is 4 times 3. 4 is 2 and 2, so there's a pair of 2's. They get to come out. So 2 times 4 is 8. The square root of 3 stays in. 75, if I have 75 cents, I have 3 quarters. So 25. So there's a pair of 5's. They come out and they multiply the 5 that's already out here. So that makes 25 square roots of 3. So this is saying we have 8 of these creatures, square roots of 3, minus 25 of those creatures. So if I do that, 8 minus 25, I always go bigger minus smaller. 25 minus 8 is 17, and then it's the sign of the bigger one. So negative 17 square roots of 3. So on 20, compared to the last problem we were adding or subtracting. This one's multiply. To multiply, they do not have to be the same. To multiply, we multiply the number on the outside with the number on the outside. So 5 times 3 is 15. And then we multiply the numbers on the inside. So square root of 7 times the square root of 21. And I just multiply the number on the inside. So I just take 7 times 21 is 147. And you don't need to do that necessarily. I'll show you why. 147. But now we're going to try to break this down. So because we just multiplied things together, we really know that this multiply came from 7 times 21. 21 is 7 times 3, so there are a pair of 7's that come out of 147. And they multiply the 15 that's out here already. And then the 3 stays under, so it's 15 times 7 square roots of 3. So I can multiply these because it is a times. So 15 times 7, 15 times 7 is 105. So that's 105 square roots of 3. So 24 we are dividing now. So the easiest way is to go to your calculator. Well, the easiest thing to do is to realize, first of all, that this is really the square root of 224 divided by 8. So you can just go to your calculator and go 224 divided by 8. And that's 28. So this is really the square root of 28. So I just took 224 divided by 8. And now I'm going to break it down. 28 is 4 times 7. 4 is 2 times 2, so there's a pair of 2's. They come out, and the square root of 7 stays in. Or the 7 stays in the square root. So remember, the pair, the ones that have 2 of a kind get to leave with this. The one that only has 1 doesn't get to leave. All right, 28 is a little bit more challenging. It's more like what we've done in the past when we have to distribute. So this is 2 minus a number, and this is 4 square roots of 3 plus another number. So this 2 is really multiplying to both pieces. So it's multiplying to the 4 square roots of 3 and to the 5 square roots of 6. So again, I just multiply outside numbers. 2 times 4 is 8. And there's nothing inside of a square root with the 2, so it's just square roots of 3. It just goes along for the ride. The next part, 2 times 5 is 10, and there's nothing to go in at the square roots of 6. So now I need to take the negative square roots of 3 times 4 square roots of 3. So even though we don't write it, there's an understood 1 out here. So negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. And the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9. And the square root of 9 is just 3. So it's really negative 4 times 3, which is negative 12. So anytime you have like the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, it'll always be the same. It'll always be the number that's underneath. So if I have the square root of 101 times the square root of 101, it's just 101. So that always works out that way. Anyways, carrying on with what we're doing now, that's negative 1 square roots of 3 times 4 square roots of 3. So now we need to go negative 1 square roots of 3 times 5 square roots of 6. So negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. Square roots of 3 times the square root of 6 is the square roots of 18. So let's break that down. That's 9 and 2, which is 3 and 3. This multiplies the negative 5, so that makes negative 15 square roots of 2. So I don't have any like radicals. This is a square root of 3, this is a square root of 6, and this is a square root of 2. So that's my answer. Negative 12 plus 8 square roots of 3 plus 10 square roots of 6 minus 15 square roots of 2. So that's all we have to do on that problem. Okay, so with this problem, there's two ways we can do it. We can distribute the power or rewrite it in radical form. So if I distribute the power, it goes to each of these powers. 27 really has a power of 1. So we write it to each one. So it's really 27 to the 2/3 times p, 6 times 2/3. So 27 to the 2/3, you can type that in your calculator. In just a minute, I'm going to show you what that really means. And p, 6 times 2 is 12, divided by 3 is 4. So 27 to the 2/3, if we go to the calculator, we go 27 up arrow to the 2 divided by 3, and we get the answer is 9. Now, you should hopefully have learned this. You might have forgotten, but hopefully you remember that this means that's the 3 outside when it's a fraction as an exponent. And then 27, this 2 means that that answer is squared. So the cube root of 27, what number multiplied by itself 3 times is 27? So 9 and 3, 3 and 3. So there's a pair of 3's. They get to come out. So 3 comes out. There's nothing left over. So that's this part. It's still squared. 3 squared is 9. So it's really 9p to the 4th. If I rewrite it in radical form right at the beginning, I do the same thing as kind of what I did at the end. And I realize that the 2 means that this is squared. The 3 means it's a cube root. And I just break stuff down as it is right now. And so there's a group of 3's. They get to come out. P6, so 6 divided by 3 is 2. So that takes all the p's out. This is still all quantity squared. So 3p squared times 3p squared. 3 times 3 is 9. P squared and p squared makes p to the 4th. So that's what that is asking you to do. All right, question number 15. X to the negative 3 over 64. Hopefully you remember that this negative 3 moves it to the bottom. So really what I have is 64x cubed all to the negative 1/3. But now this negative inside of here, or outside of here, it flips everything upside down. So now what I have is 64 to the x third, 1/3. So all that flipping upside down did is it got rid of the negative exponent. So when you reciprocate, it just gets rid of the negative exponent. But from what we just learned, this means that that is the cube root of 64x to the 3rd. So 64 is 4 times 16. 16 is 4 and 4, so there's a group of 3 4's. They come out. And x cubed, how many x cubes does it make? How many x's does it make to get x cubed? The answer is 3. So there's 3 x's, so they come out as well. Shortcut way, 3 divided by 3 is 1. Otherwise, you can do this and say, oh, there's 3x's that comes out. So now this one, you're supposed to just write it as in exponential form. So x is the base, n is the denominator, and m is the power. So this is the denominator. This is the power. And that's my answer. Okay, on number 19, you're supposed to rewrite this. So this is my denominator, this is the numerator. So it's 7 to the 2/3 power. 21, again, this is the denominator, this is the numerator. So this is the power. This is the size. So this is the square root of t, k to the r power. So the d stands for denominator, n stands for numerator. So that's how those are related. All right, on your other worksheet. Oh, no, still the same worksheet. 3 to the 2/3. So we rewrite that as a radical. That's the size. This is the power. So really we have the cube root of 3. So the cube root squared.